of him who called you out of darkness into his marvelous light. I was arrested this week by 3 words.
Watch it now. Watch it now.
For those, okay,
Watch
shout
it
out to
now.
all y'all don't have extensive vocabulary, so when you heard arrested, you thought handcuffs.
Right.
I still love y'all, it's all good.
I got you, Pastor.
There were 3 words that captured me. How about that?
There you go.
In the text this morning, and those first 2 words, but ye are.
Yeah.
NIV says, but you are. Hi, my name is David Kennebrew. Okay, y'all haven't been in A me neither. That's what you were supposed to say. Hi, David.
Hi, David.
Okay, let's try it again.
Okay,
now we're ready to jump in this.
Okay.
I'm gonna take a step back and I'm gonna come back to the mic. We're gonna do it. Okay. Hi, David. That's your cue. Hi, my name is David.
Hi, David.
I'm a grown man, but I'm still trying to discover who I am.
Oh, how he loves you and me. Oh, how he loves you and me. He gave his life. What more could he give? Oh, how he loves you and me.
Yes. Right.
Growing up, I was a church kid. Me and my brothers and sisters, we went everywhere. Every convention, every revival. Every service, every youth conference. We were always there. Sometimes we even went places where we knew there wouldn't be other children there. But my parents backed us up and took us. Out of curiosity, I remember asking, why do we have to go? And as a child, my mother never gave me a sufficient answer. But her answer usually said, because you are. Or because of who we are. She will always tell us and remind us, even when we went places, don't forget who you are.
Wow.
My mother knew something I didn't know at a young age. She knew the importance of how your identity, how your identity begins to shape your future. How your identity begins to shape how you see the world. How your identity begins to shape what you think the world thinks about you. How your identity even shapes what you think about God. And she will always remind us, because you are. That's what the writer is doing in 1 Peter 2:9. He says, but you are.
Yeah.
You can even see the importance of identity even throughout history.
Yeah.
We all know in the transatlantic slave trade, sailors went to Africa, picked up slaves, and brought slaves to America. We know that, right?
Yes.
We know that, right?
Yes.
Okay, you should know that because that's incorrect. Watch this. In every history book, it says they went to pick up slaves. But actually, they went to pick up Africans, brought them to America, and made them slaves.
That makes sense.
The reason they say they picked up slaves in the history book is because they want us to think less of the people they brought over, because you now only just see them as slaves.
Wow.
But actually, they went to Africa, picked up Africans,
Yeah.
brought Africans over to America, and made them slaves. But then during slavery, they were very systematic. One of the first things they did was they would begin to mix the tribes up. The reason they began to mix the tribes up, because in Africa, the tribes had their own language and their own way of communicating, their own histories, and they began to mix the tribes up because now in America, if you can't communicate with the person next to you, that means when the new Africans were born here on the stateside, watch this, they then could not pass down the oral history of their people. So now you have new Africans born in America as slaves, not knowing who they were. But you are.
Yes. Jesus loves me. This I know. For the Bible, it tells me so. Little ones to him belong. They are weak, but he is strong.
I'm 32 now, and I'm still trying to figure out who I am. I was blessed to begin pastoring in January 2016, and one of the hardest things and hardest revelations that I had to receive from God was when God said, David, you're not Bishop Kennebrew. See, in my mind, Bishop Kennebrew knew how to pastor. He knew how to do church. So I said, I'll just do what I saw all my life. But God had to tell me that's not who you are. My older brother here is my big brother, one of my heroes. As a kid, I became a Saints fan because he was a Saints fan. Whatever he did, I wanted to do. Whoever his friends were, that made them my friends. Why? Because I wanted to be like him. But not only did God say, you can't be your father, he says, you can't be your brother. Because you are. God was trying to show me, David, you have a very unique identity. And to understand your identity is to understand where I want to take you. And as long as you try to imitate someone else, you can never be who I created you to be. And if you never who I created you to be, David, I can't do for you what I want to do for you while you're trying to be someone else. But you are. See, it's interesting. You have to learn that simple concept because we go back to school from here, a lot of the high school students, college students, and you have to remind yourself you are not everyone else.
Yeah, that's it.
Because
That's it.
you are. Two stories, and I'll take my seat. Good friend of mine, I told this story in Mississippi one time, so you all may know this story. Good friend of mine, Pastor Lorenzen Bell, from there in South Carolina. As a kid, he told me this story. He said, growing up as a baby, he would eat and his stomach would swell. And one day in observation, his aunt said, oh, he is as full as a puppy. And from that day, his whole family began to call him Puppy. He's a grown now, and his family still calls him Puppy. But watch this. One day, when he finally went to kindergarten, he's in kindergarten class, and his teacher is calling the roll and says, Lorenzen Bell? He didn't respond. Lorenzen Bell, he didn't respond. It's a small town, so the teacher knows who Lorenzen Bell is and know he's sitting right there. Lorenzen Bell, he didn't respond. He goes over to Lorenzen, why didn't you respond? Lorenzen said, you didn't call my name. They got into an argument in class, so the teacher took him to the principal's office to explain to him, like, he's being rude, he's not responding, but he tells the principal, but she didn't call my name. The principal, it's a small town, calls his parents, say, we have a problem. Your son isn't responding to his name. Then his parents had to explain to him as a 5-year-old, his name wasn't Puppy. It's interesting. We take on these characters. We take on what people have called us for so long and begin to believe that's who we are. But First Peter tells us, but you are. The reason he starts the scripture by saying his but, because the writer is trying to make a distinction between the people he's talking about in verse 8 and the people talking about in verse 9. The problem is most of us are trying to be like people in verse 8. People in verse 8 are your friends on Facebook who seem like they have a whole lot of likes. Your friends on Instagram who always reposting nonsense. Your friends on Instagram and Facebook who did all those challenges that they had no business doing. All your friends at school who you consider cool. Your friends at school you think dress a certain way. Your business associates, your friends or your co-workers. We try to be like the people in verse 8, but God has called us to be the people in verse 9. And as long as we try to be the people in verse 8, we miss out on the blessings of the people in verse 9. And as long as you are going by somebody else's name for you, you will never hear when God calls. But
My goodness.
You are.
you are.
Yeah.
Yes, Jesus. He loves me. Oh, yes. Jesus. He loves me. Oh, yes, Jesus. He loves me. For the Bible tells me so.
I was an athlete all my life. And I had a dream of playing quarterback in the NFL. I got to high school, and that was the position I wanted to play. I wanted to play quarterback. I was confident that was my position. My 10th grade year at Little Rock Parkview Arts and Science Magna High School, there was a coach there at practice who said, "David, you're not a quarterback. You're a running back." I said, "No, I'm a quarterback. I want to be a quarterback. I've been playing quarterback all my life. That's what I do." 10th grade. Then 11th grade, it was the same thing. I was going to be the quarterback. I got beat out, so cool, but I'm going to be the quarterback. Watch this. Now in the 11th grade, as a junior, I want to be the quarterback, but I'm also the backup running back. And in my junior year, I lead the team in rushing as a backup running back, but I'm still telling people I'm a quarterback. Everything I was doing is focused on being a quarterback, and my coach kept telling me, "Kennebrew, you are not a quarterback." I just knew because I was going to run the option like Tommy Frazier. A lot of y'all don't even know who Tommy Frazier is. He played at Nebraska. He was bad at running the triple option. And I was going to be just like that. But he said, "Kennebrew, no, you are a running back." And finally, my senior year, watch this. My senior year, I got to the point where the head coach said, "David, we're not going to even give you a chance to play quarterback. You are a running back." I wanted to quit. I wanted to transfer. I want to go somewhere else. But I said, "No, you know what? I'll listen and become who I really am." That year, my senior year, I finally became who I really was. And then colleges started calling. As a quarterback, no college ever offered me anything. But the moment I became who I really was, things started coming. What am I telling you? You can continue to fake to be the people in verse 8. You continue to fake to be the people you paint the picture of on social media, on your daily life. But until you become who God has called you to be, a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a peculiar people, until you become the people of verse 9, you will miss out on what God has for you. But you are. The beauty of it is, regardless of who you think you are right now, regardless of the person you don't think you can become, Jesus still loves you. Because of who he is. And because of who God is, I can become who God has created me to be. Let's pray.